Someone just pulled up in a motorcycle. That picked up on my mic. That's fantastic. I love that this house is basically made of paper. What's up, everyone? Alex here, and I guess I'm doing another identity talk video. I never know how to really present these videos. I always kind of open them a little bit awkwardly, but I'm still sort of getting used to them, even though this is, the 14th episode or something like that. I actually don't know how many identity talks that I've done, but it's been quite a few. It's been a little stressful lately, mostly just like money issues and whatnot, but I'm doing all right, kind of surviving. My hair is up in the messiest bun. It looks awful, and I also shaved my face. I don't think I look the best today. I did not get all dressed up, and my nail polish is completely ruined from just working, so I guess it's what I get for painting my nails right before I go back to work. But yeah, not much else is happening. Still over on the TGCE blog, still doing like flag requests and all sorts of fun stuff. And hopefully I'll be doing an update where I'm going to talk about my current projects over on that blog, what I'm working on, what I have worked on, and all that. So that'll be a thing soon enough. So I wanted to talk about spiritual beliefs and practices and my experiences. I guess the evolution of me getting into spirituality. For the longest time, I have been a pretty spiritual person, but it really only started like in high school, I think. That's like the earliest I can remember that I've had any interest in spirituality and whatnot, but I've always kept it such a secret part of me because it's so personal and so subjective that it's hard to talk about it. But I think in this format, it might be a little bit easier for me to do so because I just I have a hard time explaining things, but I have some points written down that might kind of help me with that. I do practice witchcraft. I'm a little behind. Like, I haven't really done anything particularly witchy in quite some time, but I do practice witchcraft and have I have an interest in that, and I tend to have a lot of Buddhist leaning beliefs as well, and I have been interested in converting to Judaism for the last maybe year or so, but I have been lazy and haven't taken the necessary steps to make that conversion possible. And like I'm spiritual, but I'm not atheist. I do believe in a God, in a single God, just like per my own experience and like what makes sense to me. And really it's just my relationship with that God that I'm questioning. And I figured something like Judaism would sort of pave the path into figuring that part out, I guess. I'm a little all over the place with my beliefs, I guess. I've had so many weird phases. I've had a lot of like questioning. I've been very anti-religion, very anti-spiritual, and then I kind of did, almost a 180 within the last several years, I guess. I've said I guess so many times. Goodness. It's been a while since I've recorded, so I'm trying to get into the swing of things and get used to being in front of a camera again, and it doesn't help that I'm not posting on my gaming channel. I've been keeping up with this channel fairly regularly, but not really in the way that I would like to. So hopefully that'll change in the next few months, once maybe I've got a little bit more money and I'm not as stressed out about paying bills and stuff. But I'm getting so off track right now. So I guess the best place to start is to talk about where I first started getting into any kind of spirituality, and that's definitely witchcraft. I got into that when I was in middle school, or at least that's what I'm vaguely remembering. A couple of my friends were really into witchcraft and started explaining what it was to me and explaining like how it worked and like the basic like belief system and like just what you do. And I will admit we were very young. I want to say like 10 or 11 years old, but we definitely like learned this stuff like from the internet. I wasn't on the internet a lot. I didn't understand a lot of stuff going on the internet, but I guess that's where my friends had found out about it, and we just had this little group where we would talk about it, but I didn't get really in depth with it. I thought it was a little silly. I thought it was just one of those games you played at a sleepover, just not anything serious. But it eventually evolved into me legitimately learning about witchcraft and like how to go about building a practice that worked for me. For me, it's mostly a way for self-exploration and for mindfulness, and I guess like a connection to nature and a connection to God in some way. Whether or not I really know what God is in that context, I'm not sure. A concept, a spirit, the universe, I'm not sure on that one. That's what I'm trying to figure out, and I guess that's what a lot of people who are spiritual are trying to figure out. I had this phase, like I was practicing witchcraft like regularly, daily. I was celebrating all the holidays and just kind of like carving a little practice for myself that felt comfortable for me. And I had all kinds of witchcraft books. Money's been tight, so recently I have sold all those, so I couldn't tell you I couldn't show you what I have, but some really big names: Scott Cunningham, Raven Silverwolf, before that became like, I don't know. I think people are not so into her anymore. Or is it Silver Raven Wolf? I forget her name. I've had a couple of her books in the past, but Scott Cunningham's been a big one. Gary Cantrell. Oh boy, Deborah Lip. It might be Deborah. Maybe it's Deborah. My mom's name is Deborah. That's why I pronounce that name the way I do. It's Hebrew. I can't think of any other names right now, but I had a ton of books that it just kind of acted as like a guideline. Obviously, I'd write my own beliefs and practices down, especially if I've like invented them myself or discovered them myself. And like after a while, I became interested in Buddhism, and I was like legitimately like looking up resources on how you practice Buddhism and what the belief system is and everything about that. So I used to take notes about Buddhism and every little detail of it, but while it still kind of sticks to me today, really the only part of it that I utilize is like mindfulness and emotions. Like that's really what I work with in terms of like Buddhist beliefs. I mean, it's been so long since I've done anything like that because just real life gets in the way. I don't have a church or a coven or a temple or anything that I can regularly go to. I guess I could find online covens or online spiritual groups, but I'm so specific. I'm so, I guess, picky. I don't know if you'd call it picky, but that's the only word I can think of. I'm so picky about the groups that I involve myself with because I have to make sure that they're inclusive and that like I'm not getting into a practice that's like, or into a group who practices something that's overly gendered or like has like weird beliefs about sex or about, I don't know. I've seen weird beliefs surrounding food. I've seen like beliefs about like how many gods you should believe in, and like criticisms of like blending any kind of belief system. Like some people say like don't practice an Abrahamic religion if you're going to be if you're gonna practice witchcraft. I've seen all kinds of just stuff that really turned me away from practicing with anybody else. So I've been, I guess, what they call a solitary witch, and just making my own path and doing my own thing in the privacy and comfort of my home and my own brain, and just kind of not getting involved with anyone else. Not sure if that's healthy or not, but I've been pretty disappointed otherwise. But I wanted to explain, I guess, the witchcraft thing. I like the idea of being in tune with nature and the cycles of nature throughout the year. So that was like the big thing that turned me on to witchcraft. And I guess like over time I learned different ways that I could practice. I stopped celebrating the holidays so much. I really have only celebrated the winter solstice for the last like 3 or 4 years. So I really need to get back into that. But I mean, I'm an eclectic witch. I guess that's what you'd call it. Someone who has a bunch of different beliefs and practices pulled from different sources, and it's just kind of mixed together into one like solitary, unique practice that like fits my own needs and my own interests. I love tarot cards. I collect gemstones. I utilize gemstones in any way possible. I have a huge collection of gemstones. I've not gotten to show that off yet. I should have brought that in here before I started recording. I love elemental magic. I love astrology. Anything that has to do with space, love it. I really like the holidays, and I want to get back into celebrating pagan holidays, not just winter solstice. Like, there's a lot of them that have a purpose, that like celebrate like milestones I guess milestones throughout the year. It's like, this is the harvest season, or this is like the longest night of the year, or this is like celebrating the very beginning of summer or something like that. But I would love something like that. And also, I guess I made a note here. This script was, it's not a script. This outline was written quite a while ago, so it's weird that that I have this written here. So my wedding, at least my public wedding, was a hand fasting, which is a pagan ritual where the couple to be wed would like lock hands or like hold hands, and a hand fasting cord, usually made of ribbon or of yarn. Sometimes it's braided. Sometimes it's got jewels or beads or something like sewn into it. Usually you can get them so expensive and so fancy, but we made our own, and we ended up having a hand fasting. Some couples will have hand fastings when it's not like a marriage. Sometimes it's just like a union of two people, and they'll do like some public ceremony like that. But the hand fasting cord just gets wrapped around, usually 3 times, as you like say, not the vows, but what the pastor might say, or the person marrying them, I guess. But yeah, that's how my wedding, that's how my public wedding was. And like I also like that. I like a lot of like I like ceremonies. I like the idea of pagan ceremonies. There's all kinds of festivals and stuff like the hand fasting, and like that also is something I'm super interested in, and I would like to get involved more in that. So I guess after the whole witchcraft thing, I'm still into witchcraft. It's not like it was a phase and then I'm moving on from that, but I guess at some point, like a year or two ago, something clicked, and I really became invested in learning about Judaism, and started to read not specifically about the Torah, but about the general history of the Jewish people, and learning about like celebrations and holidays and stuff, and learning customs and culture, learning about living kosher, and learning about Shabbat, which is the like Friday day of rest. I think it's Friday night into Saturday, the day of rest every week. And just seeing, like, reading about everything and seeing if there was even a place that I would fit into that. I started learning about very progressive groups of Judaism and learning about like bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs, but for non-binary people. I think it's a b'nai mitzvah, which is for like, I think it's like non-gendered or gender neutral, and it's like a day of like growing up, a day of reaching adulthood, that you celebrate with the Jewish community. And like it just seemed really appealing to me. And like I did start asking around, to find out like what kind of steps that I could take to start converting. But I mean, life has just gotten in the way of everything that I'll be honest, I've fallen behind on like learning and making that like big step to conversion. And I guess it's also kind of scary too, because like I would be adopting a brand new identity. Nothing much would change. It's just like I'm being adopted into a family, into a tribe. So the thought of that, it just kind of like was scary, but like in an exciting way. But I feel like I need certain things in my life to fall into place to be a little more stable before I get into that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely want to convert someday. And another big thing that I liked about Judaism is that questioning one's relationship, or even one's relationship with God, or even questioning like the existence of God, is like central to Jewish practices, at least a lot of major groups. So I also liked that because it's not like a purely faith-based religion. Like you need to just believe in this sort of thing, and then that's that. Like you're allowed to question and allowed to learn and to change what you believe or what you practice based on new information, like shaping your opinions as you go, I suppose. But that also was really interesting to me, and I don't know, it feels like a place where I might fit in, but without like, I don't have a lot of community where I'm living, or just in general, I guess. I don't have a lot of people I can go to talk about it. Like I just don't know, like I'm kind of alone in this, so it's weird to navigate such an important, like huge thing all by myself. But like I guess that's just like the basis of it, of my beliefs and what I want in my life and what I have adopted into my life as a spiritual person. But I would love from here on out to just get back into spiritual practice in some way, even if it's small, because I've learned a lot, and it's really just good for my brain. It's good for my mental health. And yeah, I just want it to be a bigger part of my life than it is right now. Part of the reason why I don't talk a lot about this kind of stuff, it's just I have like a huge fear of judgment. I have a fear of people misunderstanding what it is, and I'm not the best with words, and I feel like I would not sound, I don't know, I feel like I wouldn't make sense if I spent so much time just explaining, like, what do you mean, like, you practice witchcraft? What is that supposed to mean? Like, do you curse people? Like, I feel like that would get so tiring. So I just really keep it to myself, unless I find out that someone else is into witchcraft or something like that, or into paganism. Then I would be like, oh, hey, me too. Like, this is what I believe in, or like, this is my history or my experience with it. I feel like a lot of people make assumptions based on your spiritual practice. Like either way, I feel like I'm kind of afraid of like constant questioning when I start the conversion to Judaism. I feel like I'd get a lot of weird questions, like at best just confusion, at worst probably a lot of judgment and a lot of hate for that. But I don't know. I'm not openly spiritual. I'm not openly religious, so it's hard to tell like how other people might react. I mean, there's so much disagreement even within the same group. Like, there's a lot of infighting. Like, that also kind of turns me off from joining online communities or communities in general where we can like talk about our beliefs and share experiences. I feel like somewhere there's going to be like a lot of disagreement and a lot of judgment, even like aggression and hate because of specific things that I believe in or specific things that like I want to practice. That's kind of a struggle for me. It's always been hard for me to talk about religion and spirituality with anyone, but I'm trying to be at least more open about it with my boyfriend because he has had questions and I've explained some things to him. He knows that I want to convert to Judaism. He knows that I have an interest in witchcraft and that I've practiced witchcraft before. I guess it's really as far as it goes. I've never gotten super into talking about like God or talking about just the afterlife, I guess, is another thing, like another huge talking point. Morality, I guess. I don't know what else there would be to talk about, but I haven't gotten super in depth with that sort of thing just because I just get so afraid. So I guess that's just everything about my spiritual beliefs, at least in general, and my history with spirituality. I want to keep doing videos like this where I talk about like identity stuff, identity related topics that don't have to do with gender or sexuality. I could tie it in somehow, but I do want to like expand and talk about other facets of my identity. I think that would be a really good way for people to get to know me and for people to like maybe even relate to me or learn something new like about a specific thing in general. I think that would be really nice. So I don't know. Definitely let me know what kind of topics I should talk about. I'm really trying to like think of like non-gender and sexuality identity, like aspects of identity that I can talk about, but I feel like I'm kind of running out of ideas. I have a whole list of things that I want to refine into like an outline for episodes, but yeah, just let me know like what kind of things I could talk about, and like, I might also ask my Discord server and like see what they think, because I would like that. I'd like to explore stuff that I don't typically explore in that realm. I'm getting a call from Iowa. That doesn't even look like an Iowa number. I don't know. They never leave a message, so I don't care. All right, so the question of the week was, if you're religious or spiritual, is religion or spirituality an important part of your identity? And we got quite a few answers, which is fantastic. Amit, I hope that's how you pronounce that name, says, I'm spiritual, polytheistic Luciferian with strong Jewish influence and follower of Bastet. And I'd say it's important to me, but it's also very low-key. I draw strength from them, and I give them thanks, but it's all very casual. This is talking about worshiping deities. Neither of them would demand a strict way of worship, and both encourage me to live as my true self. Lucifer sees me doing that as well as spreading acceptance and general knowledge as a form of worship. I hope that makes sense and wasn't too much. I've definitely read about... I think it is a branch of Satanism. That's what I want to say. I mean, it's kind of its own thing. Obviously, that's why it has its own name. But I did read up a little bit on Satanism because I was like vaguely interested in it. I think that it gets a lot of hate and a lot of like misunderstanding, I guess. I don't think people really get what it's all about. But I mean, even I'm starting to learn myself. Oh, and they say, I hope that makes sense. It wasn't too much. No, that was definitely not too much. I love getting stuff like this. I love getting responses to the question of the week. Like, it makes me super happy. Though I feel like technically it should be the question of the month, because there's no other weeks that identity talk falls on. The only exception is this month, because there's 5 Mondays this month, but like that's about it. I don't know. Have to make some changes, I guess, for the format of this series. There's several names here. Sapodra is one of them, or Saipodra. I'm Jewish, and while I worry that I'm not very good at being Jewish, it's a pretty integral part of my identity. I understand the worry about like not practicing in a way that like that other people might find satisfactory. Like I'd be afraid of converting to Judaism and then just not keeping up with it well enough. But nobody really checks in on stuff like that. Like once you're Jewish, you're Jewish. You don't you're not expected to do so many things in order to keep that identity. But there's still that there's still a little bit of that fear in the back of your mind that like you're not very good at the practice that you're into. Cherry says, I'm a pagan witch, and although I'm new to it, it feels like it's already so tied to me that it's a huge part of me. Amit came back in and said, that's a mood. I also consider myself a pagan witch. Dean says, I'm not religious. I've identified as an atheist for a while, although now I think agnostic is a better term for myself. But I am a witch, and I do believe that the universe has a sort of energy to it. I don't consider it an important part of my identity at all, and I'm pretty sure this is the first place I've shared this outside of my witchcraft blog. I also believe in alternate universes and timelines, but I consider that more of a scientific belief. Very interesting. There's definitely a lot of atheist witches out there, where it's just really the spiritual practice, energy work, and mindfulness, and other such things that you might... just basically anything that isn't worshiping deities, which I have never particularly been into. Not really. I've never had particular reverence for any one deity, though I guess, I don't know. It's been mostly for myself rather than for like someone else. That's how my practice has always been. Let me see. Pancake says, I'm actually very Christian, and Christ has always been a big part of my life. I live the do unto others as you would have done unto you, life as like a life creed, and try to be as good to everyone as I possibly can, and not go around crapping on people who aren't good. Judging people takes too much effort. Let me know if I need to resend that and tag anything. I like that, because you can block out words on Discord so that you don't see them unless you like click on them. But yeah, like I like that. Like try to be good and like not judge other people. Like I mean, there's definitely a line. It's not like judging people for innocuous things, but it's like this person's not being a great person, particularly to me or to my fellow person. Like that's a little bit different for me. Like I've never been the kind of person who would be like, well, I don't want to judge. Like it's their life. Like if someone's being terrible to someone else, I definitely have something to say about it. But yeah, I guess that's it. I'm glad that we got some responses here, and I'll have another question of the week up after this, just because I want to get that out there earlier, so that I can get responses and then have something to read off. I was moving my mic, sorry. But yes, thank you to everyone who ended up answering the question of the week. Always fantastic to learn about other people and to be able to compare my experiences to those of, members of my community and everything. I think that it's important to learn and to see all these experiences from so many different backgrounds. It's not even just gender, it's any aspect of identity where you could just pick something like religion or sexuality or like, I don't know, I can't think of like another subjective thing, but much like gender, you just bring up the topic and it's so different for so many other people. Like, people have so many different experiences, and there's so much to learn if you just kind of go in with an open mind. Even the religious types, even you know, very gender non-conforming people, or like queer identities you've never heard of before, other like views on sexuality, other like experiences. It's good to go in with an open mind and try to like learn what you can without judging. I guess that's all I have to say on that. So I guess that's it for Identity Talk this month. Sort of. We have a fifth Monday, and I always end up putting up a bonus like Identity Talk video on that fifth Monday. I think I might stick with that because I mean, I don't know what else I'd be putting there. I know that leaves 2 Identity Talk videos in a row, because the last Monday of this month's going to get one, and then the first Monday of the next month's going to get one. So, I mean, tell me if there's anything that I should put for, like, that last week, or if I should skip the week. I don't usually like skipping a whole week of content. Like, I just wouldn't normally do that in my schedule, except obviously it has been a little bit busy lately, so I haven't been putting out videos as regularly as I used to, but I would like to find like a good use for that last Monday. It doesn't have to be Identity Talk. I don't think that I'm going to do that, but I don't know. Just let me know. I still want to upload every Monday, so I want to find something for that. And that's all I have. I will be... What am I doing? Oh, I'm doing like... Okay, so the next 2 videos are kind of behind the scenes videos. One of the videos I'm doing next week, I am literally just touring my tea box, which is the box that I have all my like stuff in for doing testosterone injections. I'm doing a tour of that box. And then the week after that, if I have the time to, I'm going to be doing a little behind the scenes video where I talk about like what goes into creating an episode of Identity Talk. And then the next Monday after that, Animal Crossing Town Tour goes up. I recorded that ahead of time, but I got behind on content and didn't know where to put it in the schedule, so I just pushed it to this month. So the Town Tour goes up, and then that bonus Identity Talk video, which I'll probably plug some other time. I'm not going to do it until later on in the month, maybe. Or maybe I'll leave it a surprise. I don't know. But anyway, I am signing off for now. See you later.